Over the past month, I've been slowly working on getting our Longeron and Forebeam set and ready to be mounted. What I've done is cut a little opening in here and a little access point so you can get down to the anchor roller. So the metal work, all the aluminum stuff, I still need to go through and bead blast and send it out to get anodized, but I can rough fit everything and make sure it all works. So just like this anchor roller I got sitting in place now, cut that opening out. I'll clean up the edges on it, but there's just been a lot of little prep work in here. Other things that I've done, just a rough reinforcement of where the Forebeam crosses. I have to come through and cut this flush now and then glass this edge to make sure that that doesn't roll over at all, but it's just going to help send that pressure that from that Forebeam through. Same thing with a little cap at the end, so where the code 0 or the spinnaker goes. And now we've measured this out, and where I need the Forebeam to actually sit with our rig setup, I have to take basically 60 millimeters, so what is it, a little over 2 inches off this. And what I'll do is cut this back 60 millimeters and then take what was the end piece here and move that forward and re-glass that to make sure I have a good area when that Longeron is pushing in to the socket in here. It's got a big surface area that's holding all of that pressure. So it's going to take just a little bit of work, but not that big of a deal. I'll just grind this all back, glass it on both sides, and it should be good to go. Glassed that piece in after cutting back, like I said, about 60 millimeters. So that's there. And then down here, just glassed in these to make sure that they don't fall over. Cut it down so it's flush with side to side. And then I need to glass the top just to be able to give a good bonding surface. The whole point of this is for compression. So when that forebeam is pressing down on this, it's not gonna basically hard spot and compress that area. So it shouldn't need any additional bonding to the forebeam itself, but better safe than sorry. So I'll put some across there. So that was my little project yesterday. Now I need to grind back that the extra fiberglass that's over the edge. So cleaned it up, so then it's ready for the top to actually get put on. I haven't cleaned up that edge yet. It's still fairly sharp here. Where the anchor roller actually comes through, we shouldn't need to touch it often, but in case the snubber itself falls off the chain, I need to be able to reeve it back, bring it back, actually back through that area. And I don't want any sharp edges, of course, on it. So we'll take the router to it, round over the edges so it's nice and clean, easy to go, and then that's it for that area. The bolts on the inside are still accessible because, again, I added this little cutout here. So eventually that will have hinges on, and finish that off, and that will be the access to the chain snubber and that kind of stuff. All the chain leads back into the bridge deck. It brings the weight aft. It just seems to be a good place for it. We can clean it all off, all those types of things. And it goes through a little tube in the back of that cutout, which I eventually have to put in there. I haven't done that yet. So the chain itself feeds through that area in through a hole that I have to cut through the back of the piece that I just put in, and run a like a hawse pipe basically, which in this case is just going to be a piece of fiberglass tube, and run that through there, and the chain will actually feed into the bridge deck through that tube. Haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm going to do that because there's a watertight section in between those two, and I want to make sure that I continue that integrity of that watertight area. And so I'm gonna have to be able to glass both sides of it. It's gonna be fairly interesting. Not real excited about doing it, but it's one of those things that's got to be done.
The next step was to fit the Longeron and forebeam together in place. Since these small arms will be doing much of the heavy lifting, we wanted to remove any extra weight we could. It had been a while since our last fitting, so we set a 10-foot ladder at the forward end of the bows. Matt positioned himself by the deck, ready to slide the Longeron back into its socket.
Oh, we're not close enough.
What do you mean, to go higher?
No, we need the ladder to come closer.
Okay.
That isn't right. Yeah.
Okay.
So back down.
On our second attempt, the ladder was moved closer, and with no fear of toppling the camera over now that it had been moved out of place, it was easier to climb up the ladder and get the forward part of the Longeron onto its step.
Slider through. Try lifting it up all the way, that it can go on that step. Pretty close. Yeah, try just blocking that. Oh, sure seems like we did the forebeam first last time.
Yeah.
Now it needs to go up and over the top of that.
Yeah. Do we want to take that down now that we know how to?
Easily getting the Longeron down now, we then gathered the 5-meter-long forebeam, carried it up the ladder, and shifted it slightly aft to keep it out of the way while we worked on getting the Longeron into position. The flanges on both the deck and the forebeam were preventing a proper fit, so with the beam set where it should be, Matt measured how much material would need to be trimmed from each edge. After leveling the Longeron and making those cuts, We were eventually able to get the two pieces to mate, and after adjustments, we could mark where their final resting places are supposed to be against the hull.
So eventually, that's going to go into this place. This is the mounting for the forebeam. As you can see, it has not been anodized yet. I still need to go through and bead blast it and then send it out to get anodized. But in the meantime, we can finish up the forebeam. I'm not confident of being able to get these dimensions. This part goes in the forebeam, this part attaches to the hull. As you can see, there's no real give to it, so it's got to be very precise. I think what I have to do is get the forebeam bonded fully, so have it finished off, bond that top piece to it first, get it so it's one big rigid structure. Then I can cut off the ends and get these mounted to the hull, insert this piece, and find out where the screw holes actually need to be. Yeah, I've been racking my brains trying to figure out what order to do this in properly, and I think I've got everything all set. So next step, we're going to take this back down, the forebeam at least, take that back down, bond the top on, and then we can proceed from there. Here's where the forebeam currently is sitting. Chopped off the end. I'm gonna have to decore this section because this plate, of course, doesn't fit down all the way. And then you'll see this little crack here. The reason why I thought that we could bond this together, or was gonna be the next step, is because these plates look like they could go in there when this structure was actually put together. Come to find out, no, it doesn't work that way. It will not fit within there. There's such a tight tolerance with this that there's basically no movement. So these have to be in here before we bond this closed. If you look in here, the tabs, or the piece for the forebeam, the bracket that goes on the hull side, goes around. There's a pin that comes through here and holds this whole forebeam in place. And then the little ear on the edge here is for the seagull striker, the part that goes, or martingale, the part that goes from here all the way over to the other side to prevent the pieces basically from inverting when they're getting pulled up. So it pushes down in the center with spreaders, basically pushing down on that and preventing this whole forebeam, the forebeam from being folded with the forestay pressure. So I have to cut that opening in here so this is able to fit down. I have to decore this section where this piece is going to be. So those are basically going to be the next step. The issue we run into is we have not had these anodized yet. So now finding out that I cannot put this in after the fact, they have to get sent out and get that done. So I need to go through and get them bead blasted, which I'm going to call on Colby again because he's got a big bead blasting cabinet. So we'll go and get that done. Then I can send these out, get them anodized, and we can stop thinking about this project because we'll be able to finally button it all up. Connect it up. Blam blam.
Nice.
Alright, so this will then fit in there. It's going to fit down further, of course, because right now it's resting on that core that's not supposed to be there. martingale or seagull striker is a big wire that's going to connect from here, go all the way up there, and then down to the other side and repeat on the other side. So the idea is to have, we have a turnbuckle here, we can still adjust it, gives us space there, but my next project now is to go through and decore through this section so that I can get this to actually sit completely flush. A rough fairing on that edge just to start that process. We'll go through and sand it and blend it in a little bit better. In the meantime, it's time to flip it over and get the core out. Now, just continue to hold this piece, the bottom piece.
Bottom piece?
Yep.
Yep.
Slide the other one over. Now let's go. All right, now pick it up.
Yep.
And just set it around.
Okay.
Or now I know we're flexing.
Nice.
Next up is going to be tapering this down so I can glass that last little bit to hold that together, and then grind this flat so it's just that unidirectional in here. And of course do it to the other side as well. But this should make that nice flat surface that support piece is going to be able to hold to. Okay, so we got the core out. Now this will fit into place. Kind of see what she's going to look like. Need to clean up that edge, of course, because it's not perfect. Go along there, clean that, so it looks good. Look down here, kind of see it now. And then is getting this back into place, put the pin in there, put everything together, and figure out realistically, because it can go back and forth. Where the location is going to be. We need to find out your final location for it, measure that, and then I can start bolting this in here. Get those through bolts figured out. We're good. Cutting the holes for the pin ended up being the hard part. I did a bunch of measurements off of this based on how this was made and where the position went. None of it worked. So in the end, I just stood and looked at where the pin was going to bisect, drew a little line, did the same thing on the side, drew a line there, a little cross, and that was where I ended up drilling. And shockingly, it turned out better than what my geometry did. So well, I'll take the win, I guess. Got this bolted to here. Let me flip it over real quick so you can kind of see. So with the backing plate on, I just have 2 bolts in here just to hold this in position so we can get this in place and make sure that I have, before I go ahead and drill the rest of these, make sure that I have the positions proper. Did the same thing on that side, so it should be set into place. We'll do the same thing, put the Longeron in there, and hopefully all my math worked out.
me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Won't you bend them on